The sun bathes the quiet city of Aldia, but that peace shatters instantly. Out of nowhere, a fiery redhead declares she has finally hunted down our main character. Snatching his sleeve, she demands they hit the road immediately. Moments later, she drags our exhausted hero along. He just drops a soul-crushing sigh. Fast forward to a chaotic tavern, and history literally repeats itself. Now, a mysterious girl draped in blue steps up, claiming her search is over. Flashing a cute smile, she invites him to her mansion. Completely drained, our boy exhales sharply and rejects her flat out. He claims his schedule is packed, leaving a stunning blonde utterly baffled, gripping his arm like a vice. The blonde whines, demanding his attention since her schedule is wide open. With glossy eyes, she practically begs him to hang out. Staring blankly, our main character silently screams, wondering how his life derailed into this chaos. To unpack this madness, we rewind to a pitch-black forest. Here, two rugged bandits snap our rookie back to reality. Sweating bullets, our boy Kai nods frantically. Ready to crash, the thugs order him to stand guard, hyping up the massive bounty on their captives. The boss barks one last command: rough up the prisoners if they dare make a peep. But deep down, Kai knows those poor souls are too broken to even whisper. Shrouded in shadows, he spirals over this absolute nightmare. Clutching his hair, the kid desperately tries to piece together this disastrous puzzle. Then it hits him. A heroic rescue attempt followed by the legendary Truck-kun impact. Yet somehow his eyes opened in this gritty realm. Staring at the stars, a chilling realization strikes him. This world feels incredibly familiar. Connecting the dots, our guy realizes he got sucked straight into his latest fantasy RPG binge. Crouched near the enemy camp, he realizes he spawned on the wrong side of the villain truck. Shivering violently, he curses his trash-tier luck. Suddenly, a faint rattle from the nearby wagon snaps his focus. Creeping closer, a rusted cage makes his blood run cold. The so-called cargo, 3 helpless girls locked in pitch darkness. Based on the game's lore, these thugs are destined for slaughter. Hanging around them guarantees an instant game over. Zero hesitation. He locks in on survival mode, plotting to bolt before dawn breaks. Digging through his rags, he scores a crumpled map and enough coins for travel. Scanning the escape paths, he realizes securing his own freedom will be a breeze. Yet before vanishing into the trees, he glances back. Moving like a ghost, he picks the heavy lock. In a hushed whisper, he offers the captives a one-way ticket out. 3 terrified pairs of eyes pierce through the gloom, with one girl visibly trembling from a severe fever. Radiating pure distrust, the redhead questions his insane offer. Glaring daggers, she accuses him of staging a twisted psychological trap. Echoing that hostility, the silver-haired beauty demands concrete proof that he is not just another monster. Our hero freezes his brain, scrambling for a solid alibi. Smirking bitterly, the redhead claims his silence proves his trap has failed. Pulling a genius bluff, Kai claims he went undercover for a rescue mission, smoothly apologizing for his late arrival. He knows it is pure fiction, but securing their absolute trust right now is a matter of life or death. Urging them forward, he drops a grim reality check. Getting caught means his head rolls too. Crushing his hopes, the redhead exposes a mangled leg, proving she cannot take a single step. Pointing to her milky eyes, the platinum blonde confesses she is completely blind. Adding to the disaster, tiny Remy lays practically lifeless on the cold dirt. Defeated, the redhead admits fleeing would just lead to a slower, crueler death. Still, she offers a tragic smile, grateful he is not an actual monster. Those heavy words crush Kai's spirit. Just then, tiny Remy lets out a gut-wrenching whimper. Trembling, she extends a frail hand, her broken voice desperately pleading for salvation. Something snaps inside Kai. Eyes hardening with resolve, he balls his fists, absolutely refusing to leave them behind to die. Vowing to become their literal shield, he declares that fighting for survival beats waiting for the Grim Reaper. Dumbfounded by his sudden alpha energy, the girls question his sanity. Flexing his map, Kai promises he knows this terrain like the back of his hand. Locked into his choice, he commands the conscious duo to grab onto him tight. Hoisting all 3 girls like they weigh nothing, he bursts into the pitch-black woods. Mid-sprint, a wild realization hits this reincarnated vessel, packs insane power compared to his old fragile self. Shaking off the shock, he hyper-focuses on survival. Thankful that the bandits are still snoozing, Kai charges relentlessly into the unknown. His brain kicks into overdrive, mapping out a flawless escape path using his stolen intel. A holographic interface pops up, flashing the city of Aldia, the exact haven he built in-game. Smirking at this massive cheat code, Kai leads his new squad into the night without a trace of fear. Moving with absolute certainty, he leads them straight to a concealed treehouse, mentally hyping up their flawless getaway. The blind girl softly asks about their location. Smirking, our guy flexes that it is his own personal hidden sanctuary. Staring down a glowing magical lock, he pauses, telling the squad to chill while he remembers the passcode. Pressing his palm against the mystic rune, our main character inputs the exact password from his past gaming days. Instantly, the barrier flashes neon blue, swinging open to offer absolute safety. Stepping inside, he admits his shock that this base actually exists in reality. Carefully, he tucks the unconscious blonde into bed. The redhead gasps, realizing this guy is absolutely way beyond some basic grunt. Constructing a fortress out here is completely insane. Internally, he totally agrees, but out loud, he just casually shrugs it off. Panic fills the redhead's voice as she checks on Remy, instantly tanking the room's vibe. Suddenly, our hero remembers his hidden stash. Right then, the battered girl weakly begs for a single bite of food. Rummaging through an ancient chest for snacks, he strikes gold. The system mirrors the game perfectly, revealing a stash of flawless potions. Gripping the glass, he declares he scored some serious meds. The redhead snaps back, claiming trash-tier potions cannot save someone dying. Unbothered, he just passes her a pulsing violet elixir. Chill as ever, he promises. This is no basic healing juice. The redhead freezes her eyes, blowing wide at that unmistakable color. Internally, our guy realizes this loot is insanely rare, remembering he never hoarded low-tier trash in his vault. Back in the game, this legendary brew wiped out any debuff imaginable, requiring brutal grinding to craft. Staring at the glowing vial, the girls are completely paralyzed. Meanwhile, he realizes he hoards over 100 bottles, visualizing massive stacks of cash. Utterly stunned, the redhead demands to know his true identity to possess such god-tier loot. Smirking sharply, our hero shuts that down fast. He warns them to drop the questions purely for their own survival. Immediately, he orders the other two to chug their doses. Turning away, he sarcastically complains about refusing to carry 3 dead weights. Holding the bottle, the platinum blonde heavily doubts this mythical universal elixir actually exists in reality. Tossing her another bottle, he confirms she gets one too. One tiny sip later, the blind girl gasps, absolutely mind-blown by the instant magic. Standing by the bed, he praises the tiny blonde's crazy willpower, feeding her the glowing drop. The mystical syrup slowly slides down the unconscious girl's throat. Instantly, a blinding aura erupts from her body, proving the cure worked flawlessly. Seeing this god-tier magic in action, he exhales a heavy breath. Fluttering, her eyes open, tiny Remy whispers, a fragile, trembling thank you. Gently, he orders her to sleep, warning that even god-tier potions cannot erase deep mental exhaustion. The brilliant healing aura slowly vanishes into the shadows. Scooping up the empty glass, he locks eyes with the remaining squad. Mind-blowingly, both the redhead and the platinum blonde are already standing tall, completely restored to max health. Smelling pure profit, our guy is already mentally calculating the insane bounty he will demand back home. Suddenly, his greed shatters as both girls break down, sobbing, overwhelmed by the miracle of restored sight and mobility. Feeling super awkward, he mumbles about their unknown years of suffering. Out of sheer respect, he steps back, letting them process this absolute miracle. By sunrise, the truth spills out. Our hero discovers they were violently snatched all the way from Aldia City. Instantly, he calculates that massive distance. That territory is over 2 entire cities away. Rubbing his neck, our guy awkwardly admits, this return journey is going to be incredibly brutal. Glaring fiercely, the redhead snaps that he should blame his trash associates for causing this mess. Annoyed, our main character asks about teleportation magic. The redhead scoffs, stating they would have vanished instantly if they could. Sweating, he nervously laughs, totally buying her logic. Glancing at his own pathetic system stats, he curses being trapped as a garbage-tier hunter instead of his overpowered god avatar. Scanning the map, the platinum blonde reveals a chilling lore drop. Only one legendary figure ever mastered true teleportation. Masking his heavy frustration, he nods and rapidly shifts the awkward conversation. Facing his new party, he checks their status. Flashing a radiant smile, the platinum blonde shares her joy of finally seeing light again. Blushing fiercely, the redhead confesses, her leg feels flawless, muttering a genuine thanks. Then her pride flares up, demanding he address her properly as the noble Karen. Riding that wave, the gentle platinum blonde officially introduces herself as Nina. Quickly, they remind him that the tiny sleeper is named Remy. Sweating bullets, our guy completely panics internally. Remembering all these random fantasy names while surviving this mission is going to be absolute torture. He lays down the harsh reality. Getting this trio back home safely is their absolute top priority. Karen confidently demands his absolute protection, but he immediately shatters her hopes. Out here, there are 0 guarantees. Completely stunned, she flares up, demanding to know why he dropped such a totally heartless response. Staring her down with dead eyes, our boy states facts. In actual combat, guaranteed victories simply do not exist. He knows this grim reality is no longer a simple video game. Despite his meta-knowledge, he desperately wants to dodge lethal battles. Spelling it out, he drops a heavy truth bomb. They are totally blind to the enemy's hidden numbers and raw power. Survival literally means dodging every single red flag out there. In this brutal reality, everybody gets exactly 1 life. If you get wiped out, it is game over permanently. Burning with intense resolve, he promises to pull off a flawless, completely pacifist escape route. Never holding back, Karen interrogates him about a master strategy. Sweating bullets, our guy awkwardly admits he is drawing a total blank. Crushed beneath her heavy expectations and absolutely piercing gaze, pure panic kicks in, soaking him in a freezing cold sweat. Scrambling to save face, he regains his cool, theorizing. The kidnappers are definitely keeping Wafer City under heavy surveillance. Tracing the map, he breaks down enemy psychology. Those thugs will definitely expect them to sprint for the closest safe zone. So, the ultimate galaxy brain move: trek south through the deep woods, hit a rogue camp, and buy a secure ride. Panicking, Karen immediately snaps back to reality. They are absolutely broke and cannot afford luxury travel. Smirking, our main character taps his heavy loot bag. He totally robbed those bandits blind, securing enough cash for fresh drip. Deeply moved by this massive carry, Nina softly questions his true motives for helping them so much. She directly calls out his entire bluff, exposing his legendary healing items and wildly unagent-like info dumps. Completely cornered by her absolutely flawless logic, our boy stammers hard, desperately struggling to spin a believable truth. Trapped with absolutely zero escapes, he shamelessly doubles down on his fake secret agent persona for maximum clout. He smoothly lies about following top-secret celestial orders. Right on cue, the tiny blonde finally begins tossing around in her sleep. Catching the shift, he eagerly asks if she is finally back in the land of the living. Groggy but sharp little Remy confirms ruthlessly, adding that his subject change is too obvious. Stretching out, our hero casually suggests hitting the river at dusk for a complete reset. Instantly, the platinum blonde flexes her magical skills, offering to cast purification magic on the whole squad. Playing it incredibly safe, the main character commands them to cleanse Remy indoors, while he solos the freezing river waters. Squinting hard, the redhead throws major shade. How does a supposedly elite operative lack such fundamental beginner-level magic? Defending his fragile cover, he argues that spamming magic spells easily attracts way too much unwanted enemy attention. Moments later, the girls activate their glowing magic indoors. Meanwhile, our lone wolf chills out, soaking away his stress in the rushing river. Completely refreshed, the entire crew huddles around the blazing campfire to finally eat. Fully locked in, our guy equips an absolutely menacing pitch-black armor set. Taking the vanguard, he commands his squad to finally push forward into the unknown. Flash forward exactly 7 days. The heavily armed sentries at Aldia City's massive gates trigger a frantic security alarm. The air crackles with pure tension, but incredibly, the ragged party breaches the city's threshold without a single scratch on them. Recognizing the three highborn nobles, the terrified guard exhales a heavy sigh of relief seeing them alive. Cutting through the noise, the fiery redhead credits their entire survival to the Dark Knight. Overwhelmed, the veteran soldier drops into a deep, respectful bow for this god-tier carry. He respectfully asks the royal ladies to wait inside until their secure escort finally arrives. Intrigued, Nina locks eyes with our main character, softly questioning his next major life move right now. Radiating absolute chill energy through his intimidating steel visor, he casually reveals his plan to lay low locally. Pushing his buttons as usual, Karen demands to know his actual endgame strategy. Interrupting them, the guard assumes this elite warrior must urgently report back to command. Catching the perfect out, our boy instantly nods along, milking his fake identity to dodge suspicion. Despite the guard aggressively pushing a massive bounty reward, our Dark Knight flatly rejects the heavy gold, claiming he is strictly on the clock. Hidden behind heavy iron, our main character is running on literal fumes, desperately craving a soft mattress. Dropping one final ominous warning, he fiercely orders the girls to stay on absolute high alert until they securely reach home. Flashing a genuinely warm smile, the redhead locks in his advice, offering one last, deeply emotional thank you. Showing his soft side, he gently pats little Remy's head goodbye. Face burning red, the tiny blonde silently nods. Successfully leaving the girls in military hands, he dramatically turns his dark cape and simply walks away. Panicking, the loyal soldier reaches out to deliver a proper hero send-off, but gets instantly totally ignored. Never even glancing backward, the main character declares his intention to vanish into the urban shadows. Awestruck, the guard, Captain respectfully welcomes this shadowy phantom. Watching the legendary rogue melt into the bustling crowd, the soldiers stand utterly paralyzed. The trembling captain mutters he is unbelievable. Dripping with cold sweat, he declares the Dark Knight an absolute monster. His reasoning: he secretly peeked at his completely broken stats using appraisal, and sensed an ultra-rare artifact. Making things crazier, only 2 elite guilds ever conquered that brutal dungeon. The captain remembers perfectly. This absolute beast annihilated the Red Freed Syndicate entirely solo. Plus, he saved 3 hostages flawlessly, moving with absolute razor-sharp precision. The massive pile of evidence proves they just met a legendary veteran. But a clueless rookie throws a fit, complaining the boss skipped the ID check entirely. Furious, the captain shuts the rookie down. You want to treat a literal savior like some street thug? He coldly warns them never to disrespect the man who rescued the region's top 3 VIP girls. Suddenly, another guard realizes the guy tossed around universal elixirs like cheap candy. The captain's jaw drops, hearing about that mythical healing potion. The guard swears on his life, the noble's shattered bones and sickness evaporated instantly. Mind blown, the soldier whispers how the warrior dumped those priceless treasures without blinking. Sweating, the guards agree, this dude's power is pure madness. Panicking, the boss screams for an urgent report to high command and the central guild. Scrambling instantly, the troops sprint off to blast the breaking news. After all, young Karen carries the blood of the Empire's most powerful ducal family. Meanwhile, gentle Nina holds the Holy Church's sacred lineage, and tiny Remy inherits the continent's absolute wealthiest merchant empire. Connecting the dots, the captain realizes this masked powerhouse was treating massive crime lords like absolute jokes. Plus, he flashed god-tier loot and rejected fat rewards like pocket change. To the captain, only one insane theory makes sense. The main character must belong to the Empire's Shadow Black Ops. Miles away from this panic, our boy strolls through town, completely mesmerized. Scanning his surroundings, he realizes every single alleyway perfectly matches the original video game. He spots the massive Hunters Guild towering in the distance. He desperately wants to explore, but his drained body is screaming for rest. Making things super awkward, every pedestrian is hardcore glaring at the new guy. Creeped out by a little kid intensely watching him, he questions what's wrong. Cluelessly, the main character expected streets packed with heavily armored warriors. Instead, his ridiculously rare glowing gear is acting like a massive neon target. Crushed by fatigue, he desperately sprints for a tavern. Suddenly, a tiny girl latches onto his leg, screaming about his epic aura. Completely stunned, our heavy metal hero turns into a statue right in traffic. Meanwhile, inside a ridiculously lavish estate, a massive cry of relief shatters the silence. The redhead's father openly bawls, crushing his daughter in a hug. Totally annoyed, she tells her dramatic old man to take a breath and chill out. Snapping back to reality, the Duke realizes she is standing flawlessly, immediately backtracking his emotional breakdown. Beaming, Karen brags that a universal elixir fixed her shattered leg, spinning around to flex her perfect health. Stars in her eyes, she reveals the masked phantom casually dropped that mythical potion like it was everyday garbage. Hyped up, she swears the badass gave it away for free, dodging any massive rewards. Hooked by this crazy tale, the Duke aggressively scans the official report. Out of nowhere, the fiery heiress spots a weird detail, wondering if her savior was running a rogue solo op. Her dad calmly swears he hired nobody, adding, he'd have chugged an elixir like that for her ages ago. Connecting dots, she realizes the agent totally lied to keep them from panicking mid-escape. Running the tactical data, the Duke confirms this guy reeks of Black Ops intelligence. He knew way too much about the Red Freed Syndicate. Clearly, this Phantom Knight possessed highly classified intel on the underground mafia. But his real objective was strictly VIP extraction. He absolutely shattered his own guild's strict protocols for them. Desperate to repay the massive debt, the Duke plots to fire off a royal commendation, shielding their masked guardian. Panicking, the redhead argues that making noise will only trigger a way harsher penalty for the rogue agent. Finally, she demands to know which shadow faction owns him. Dead serious, the Duke reveals an encrypted drop from 2 days ago. Red Freed was totally dismantled. Tracing the tactical map, the Duke realizes the hero flawlessly bypassed Wafer to dodge the ambush. Without skipping a beat, Karen heavily hypes up her knight's god-tier battle IQ. Absolutely convinced, the Patriarch declares, this Phantom's insane skill set perfectly aligns with his wildest theories. Eyes locked in dead seriousness, he drops the bomb. The squad that crushed the Mafia is the Verdar Direct Control Unit. Shaking, the heiress breathes out the name of the Empire's absolute most terrifying Black Ops force. Basically, the Verdar Death Squad answers only to the Emperor, enforcing absolute bloody order, no matter the brutal cost. Even crazier street legends say this unit strictly recruits the planet's most monstrous apex hunters. They are the apex predators of total military supremacy. Putting it together, the Duke realizes their savior must be a top-tier commander wielding a platinum pass for solo devastation. He desperately begs Karen to lock away the secret, absolutely needing to keep their mysterious savior totally off the radar. Burning with gratitude, the Duke swears to repay this massive debt at any cost. With the Phantom Warrior vanishing into the urban sprawl, he commands his daughter to summon headmaid Leafia and launch a massive manhunt. The redhead frantically nods and bolts out. Now entirely alone in his shadowy office, the powerful nobleman sinks into deep thought. Sinking into his plush armchair, he silently prays this Phantom Knight serves as a mighty pillar for Vertar. That way he dodges the brutal backlash of high society power games. The Duke already knows those two rival families are aggressively hunting the masked anomaly too. Fast forward to the next morning, the inn's vibe is completely chill. While our guy completely obliterates a juicy steak, the owner actually thanks him for keeping things low-key and peaceful. Chatting him up, the old innkeeper casually mentions how that terrifying dude in the pitch-black armor was surprisingly super polite. Chilling with his meal, our main character silently absorbs the boss, hyping up his own fake persona. Totally clueless, the owner casually pivots the chat, asking if the kid traveled from afar. Our hero just gives a silent nod. Boom, a heavily armored soldier suddenly kicks the tavern door wide open instantly, freezing the entire room. The frantic guard barks out, demanding if anyone spotted a pitch-black knight roaming around. Instantly, our main character and the owner lock eyes, absolutely totally paralyzed with shock. Sweating bullets, our hero mentally screams at the old guy to stay quiet. Playing it incredibly smooth, the owner lies straight to his face, claiming 0 sightings and calling the Duke dramatic. But the suspicious guard steps closer, aggressively pressing him again. Masking his cold sweat, the boss plays it flawlessly cool. Meanwhile, our main character internally praises the heavens for this guy's Oscar-worthy acting. Heaving a frustrated sigh, the soldier finally buys the story and drops a quick thanks before dipping. The heavy door slams shut, bringing dead silence back to the tavern. Just as our hero thinks he dodged a massive bullet, the door dramatically swings open again. Plot twist. This time, a high-ranking nun from the Holy Church marches in demanding answers about dark armor. Shoving the kid violently behind the counter, the old man instantly crafts another wild excuse. Slapping on a goofy smile, he completely gaslights the holy sister, swearing the tavern is empty. Buying the bluff, she politely nods her thanks and glides out the front door. The hinges barely settle before a merchant council guard violently bursts inside. Literal tears streaming down his face, our terrified hero curls into a tiny ball behind the wood, desperately hiding. Copy and paste. The innkeeper recycles his exact same flimsy excuse to protect the kid. Absolutely exhausted, the defeated guard bids farewell, openly crying about his epic failure. With the coast completely clear, the owner calls him out. Shaking like a leaf, our absolutely terrified hero crawls out from the shadows, desperately trying to process this total madness. Clutching his head in pure agony, the boss screams about what massive crime attracts the city's top 3 superpowers. Utterly bewildered, our main character swears he is clueless, internally panicking that he accidentally triggered a catastrophic event. Pure panic sets in. The desperate owner begs the boy to clean up this radioactive mess before his beloved business gets completely canceled. Completely cornered, our stressed protagonist furiously brainstorms a flawless escape plan to literally vanish from the face of the earth. Meanwhile, miles away, Karen's big sister carefully inspects the redhead's injuries to guarantee she is fully recovered. With a gentle sigh, the girl insists the agonizing pain is totally gone. She is miraculously cured. Lounging on the bed, the proud girl whispers her thanks, admitting she will actually miss their little routine. Flashing a warm smile, her sister cheers the healing, yet feels totally hollow without their familiar bonding time. Flipping the script, Karen's mind aggressively drifts back to their masked savior. Frowning with intense worry, she literally cannot fathom how such a flashy, overpowered guy remains completely undetected. In her mind, their legendary hero is purposely dodging the massive citywide manhunt. Dragging over a chair, her sister nods in agreement, revealing their powerful father shares the exact same theory. Dropping to a whisper, the redhead reveals a dark fear. What if their hero faces brutal punishment for using that mythic elixir? Planting her hands firmly on her hips, she recalls how the shadowy knight clumsily pretended the god-tier item was just some random personal stash. Clearly, this masked anomaly was fighting tooth and nail to bury any ties to a secret shadowy organization. Releasing a heavy sigh, the redhead desperately prays he dodges any catastrophic soul-crushing penalties. Teasing her playfully, the older sister laughs at how incredibly rare it is to see Karen acting so worried and adorable. Shrugging it off, the redhead fires back that the one-man army literally saved everyone and totally earned her respect. Blushing furiously, she defensively crosses her arms, whining loudly about her sister's totally merciless, uncalled-for teasing. From her perspective, this legendary hero risked absolutely everything to pull them from hell, boldly defying the lethal threats of his own dark faction. Making things even crazier, both Nina and Remy's noble families echoed that exact same sentiment at the 11th hour. Yet Karen stubbornly claims the crown as his #1 fan. Bursting into laughter, her sister instantly goes on the offensive, teasing that this is 100% true romance. Back at the tense tavern, the stressed boss tries calming our main character, swearing the kid did absolutely nothing wrong. Despite his weak comfort, wild rumors are spreading like wildfire outside. The massive manhunt for the elusive Black Knight is escalating to dangerous new heights. Laying out the brutal facts, the old man points a shaky finger. Feeling entirely trapped, he swears this kid is undeniably the legendary masked phantom. Our main character sweats, imagining what brutal fate awaits if those wild rumors are actually true. The innkeeper drops a bombshell. Worst case, those 3 elite families will permanently exile him. Looking deeply sympathetic, the old man confesses that harboring a fugitive is eating him alive with guilt, but strongly warns against fleeing to another inn tonight. And the absolute worst part, the city council's bounty for his capture just skyrocketed to a staggering 3 million gold. Jaw-dropping at that insane number, our boy practically screams, demanding why the geezer hasn't sold him out yet. Chuckling at his panic, the boss reveals those noble families are moving strictly in the shadows to prevent massive public chaos. Ultimately, the old-timer urges our main character to gear up and slip into the shadows to experience the vibrant festival. Utterly drained by the psychological warfare, our hero just nods, trudging away from the counter, completely defeated. Tossing him a lucky farewell, the boss urges him to soak in the vibes while time permits. Catching a spark of hype, he resolves to live it up today, before his inevitable exile tomorrow morning. Wandering those bustling streets, he stares at the fading sunset, desperately searching for a shred of hope in this mess. Suddenly, the massive city clock tower catches his eye. Back in the day, scaling that exact tower at dusk was his absolute favorite ritual. Fully aware the admission price is a total scam, he marches right up to the ticket window anyway. Dead set on chasing nostalgia, he scales the floors while soaking in the breathtaking scenery. Hitting the peak, a sudden shockwave hits him. This spot was supposed to be deserted, yet someone is already gazing at the skyline. Cloaked in dark fabrics and wearing an enigmatic mask, an elegant lady stands perfectly still. Catching his subtle footsteps, the crimson-haired beauty slowly pivots toward him. Completely captivated by her ethereal aura, our main character freezes solid. Fumbling over his words, he barely manages to squeeze out a highly awkward greeting. With flawless grace, she replies and warmly invites him to share the rooftop. Instantly, a hidden game lore flashes through his mind regarding a super rare encounter with a mysterious maiden right up here. Moving cautiously, he heavily guards his personal space, suspecting this is triggering that special event. Radiating a totally chill vibe, the masked stranger compliments the horizon, calling it the ultimate spot to cleanse the soul. Nodding along, our guy confesses the visuals are insanely gorgeous. Piqued by his energy, she gently questions what actually dragged him to such an isolated altitude. Dropping his gaze, he admits he desperately needed to erase some heavy drama from his brain. Flipping the script, she casually questions if he recognizes the dude rocking the dark armor. Gulping pure panic, our main character low-key freaks out, convinced his cover is totally blown. Flashing a super jittery grin, he attempts to act smooth, dropping a comment that this masked warrior is trending everywhere locally. Dead serious, she confesses she is also actively tracking this legend, and would give anything for a face-to-face interaction. Terrified of incoming drama, he probes if this Black Knight committed a crime. Giggling at his stress, she pinky promises the guy is absolutely not a wanted criminal. She quickly clarifies the top brass merely wishes to show immense gratitude, though the specifics remain strictly classified. Flooded with pure relief, our main character finally drops his defensive walls. Realizing he isn't being targeted for an execution, practically lifts a mountain off his exhausted shoulders. Right on cue, a ridiculously premium carriage rolls up to the foundation below. Spotting the flex, the enigmatic lady notes, her VIP transport has officially pulled up. Bummed out, our guy questions if she really has to bounce so soon. Flashing a magnetic smile, she vows their investigation will yield results shortly, and gracefully bids farewell. Gliding down the spiral steps, she leaves an intoxicating aura of pure mystery floating behind. Stranded solo on that viewing platform, he tracks her departure. His mind completely blanks out, realizing he is absolutely clueless regarding her true identity. Hitting street level, the lady slides into the lavish ride and spots an incredibly anxious Karen. The fiery girl aggressively demands they rock disguises downtown, hoping to track down the champion without blowing their cover entirely. However, Karen's older sibling brutally roasts her, whining about being forcefully drafted as a background NPC for this chaotic scheme. Cracking up at the sibling rivalry, the masked maiden says sorry for the savage attitude. Ultimately, she confesses feeling super blessed her little sis actually scooped her from the landmark. While cruising through town, the masked sister casually drops that she encountered a teenage dude upstairs. Knowing the street gossip, Karen instantly assumes this random guy was spying on their massive manhunt. Smirking softly, the sibling clarifies that despite her initial paranoia, their chat was super wholesome and totally devoid of sketchy vibes. For the disguised beauty, exchanging words with him felt incredibly magical and peacefully grounding. Playing it safe, she name-dropped the Black Knight just to test him, but the kid acted totally clueless. Heavy sighing, Karen complains, their dad firmly believes the legend already evacuated town. Like a lightning bolt, the masked sister recalls a wildly specific detail about that rooftop stranger, causing the fiery sibling to instantly petrify. Heart-pounding, she desperately demands a full physical description of the dude her sibling just encountered. Painting a vivid picture, the woman notes he possessed a captivating chill energy, completed by a very distinct slash mark scarring his left cheek. Karen absolutely loses it, screaming that the Black Knight sported that exact same battle wound. Operating on pure adrenaline, the fiery girl smashes the carriage window open violently, screaming at their coachman. She commands the driver to flip a crazy U-turn straight toward the tower. Totally bewildered, her sister questions her. Mind absolutely blown by her wild realization, the girl freezes. The redhead pieces everything together, suddenly realizing this mysterious stranger might actually be her childhood savior. Furious about being left in the dark, she reveals that Scar was a closely guarded family secret. Hearing this, her sister instantly grasps the massive stakes. Tires screeching, their carriage violently whips around the empty alleyway. Bailing out instantly, both girls sprint frantically toward the looming clock tower. Hearts pounding, with desperate hope, they pray they catch him before he vanishes entirely. Lungs burning, the frantic duo finally bursts onto the highest rooftop. Crushing the redhead's hopes completely, the wind howls across a barren terrace. Their phantom hero is already gone. Across town at the Treasure Hunters Guild, absolute chaos reigns. The guildmaster is having a massive meltdown over zero intel on this dark night. Scanning the tactical briefing, he concludes this masked anomaly definitely belongs to the legendary Imperial Vanguard Vertar. Soloing the entire mission, this absolute unit rescued 3 elite noble heiresses and completely vaporized the local underworld syndicate. Sweating over the map, the boss realizes, abducting high-tier aristocrats basically declares all-out war against the Empire. With tensions boiling over, deploying the elite Vertar squad to crush this rebellion makes terrifying sense. Spiking his blood pressure further, the commander rages that his entire network cannot establish contact with this overpowered phantom. Purely desperate, the boss literally begs his shadow agents to fake a clumsy collision just to trigger some basic dialogue. Hilariously, that pathetic strategy crashed because our hero simply caught a falling kid, nodded, and ghosted them completely. Utterly stunned, the elite trackers could only whisper thanks as the legend dissolved into the bustling streets. Completely defeated, the executive groans, praying this walking natural disaster simply returns to the capital before triggering doomsday. Bam! The heavy oak doors explode inward as a terrified receptionist screams that the masked anomaly just breached the lobby. Assuming she is trolling, the boss snaps at her, but one glance at her pale face confirms this is absolute reality. Down in the lobby, suffocating black armor completely paralyzes every single veteran mercenary in the room. Sprinting out, the boss bows deeply to his terrifying guest. Watching this ridiculous 180, the receptionist tries desperately not to absolutely lose it. Biting their lips, the rugged mercenaries whisper about their tough commander, acting like a totally submissive fanboy. Dripping with nervous sweat, the executive stammers out a greeting, asking why this mythical VIP graced their humble turf. Masking his own internal panic, our main character casually mentions he is just browsing. The boss instantly forces a bright, welcoming smile. Internally, the guildmaster is already mapping out 1,000 apocalyptic conspiracy theories regarding that innocent statement. Completely lost, our hero wonders if he accidentally triggered a death flag. Waving his hands frantically, the boss swears everything is perfectly fine. Inside the commander's terrified brain, casually browsing definitely translates to hostile reconnaissance, disguised as a friendly tour. Within milliseconds, his survival instincts scream that bluffing against this absolute god-tier threat is pure suicide. Bottom line, the veteran commander thinks he is currently facing a 5D chess-playing mastermind. Having idolized Vertar his entire life, but lacking the raw stats to join facing this living legend, finally makes him realize the devastating power gap. Clinging to his remaining dignity, the executive cautiously invites the armored titan up to his private office for an exclusive tour. Our clueless protagonist instantly agrees, assuming this is just a standard tutorial quest sequence. While their heavy footsteps echo upstairs, the entire tavern erupts into absolutely unhinged gossip. Slamming down their mugs, veterans fiercely debate the event. Most rookies assume this entire circus is just clout chasing and completely exaggerated hype. However, the true elites notice his chillingly relaxed aura. His completely open stance screams that he is actually baiting someone to make the first fatal move. Realizing this casual stroll meant he could easily solo the entire room, cold terror grips their spines. Shaking in their boots, these hardened killers silently agree that a full guild raid would absolutely fail against him. Deep down, they seriously question if this armored demon could solo an S-rank disaster-class boss. Meanwhile, our fake flexor is internally crying about these ridiculously escalating rumors. With every single step, his massive web of lies spirals totally out of control. Escorting him out after the tense tour, the commander practically bows at the door, still leaking cold sweat from pure anxiety. Mentally scarred, our protagonist violently swears to absolutely never return to this insane asylum. Groaning internally, he expected basic NPC dialogue and info dumping, but instead got a suffocatingly bizarre and intense vibe check. Flashing back to the lobby, he physically shivers completely, misreading their sheer terror as intensely murderous bloodlust. Even worse, his brain short-circuits over why the notoriously toxic boss acted like a total simp instead of his canon persona. Completely oblivious, he furiously questions how he accidentally unlocked the premium VIP route, despite feeling absolutely terrified. The city tour cured his crushing boredom, offering a breath of fresh air. Ready to explore, our boy confidently marches down the bustling avenue. However, strolling around, dripping in pitch-black armor, absolutely shatters that peaceful tourist vibe. Out of nowhere, a heavy carriage violently brakes right at his back. Bursting through the carriage door, Karen shoves an accusing finger right into our hero's face, absolutely hyped about hunting him down. He freezes completely. That glittering crest slapped on the door. It belongs to the legendary Hathaway noble bloodline. Zero chill detected. The fiery redhead demands instant answers, furiously interrogating him about his secret hideout. Gesturing vaguely, he admits he was just chilling at the downtown inn. Her jaw drops, outraged that the shady tavern grandpa completely gaslit her about spotting the Black Knight. Flashing a sly smirk, the main character confesses he totally bribed the owner to keep quiet. Karen instantly deflates like a popped balloon, utterly stunned that a random bartender played her like a fiddle. Desperate to escape the awkwardness, our masked guy shrugs, bragging about his top-tier stealth skills. Triggered by the flex, she snaps back, completely done with his flimsy excuses. Suddenly, a honey-sweet feminine voice drifts from the shadows of the carriage, shifting her focus. Catching that gentle tone and familiar hair color, our hero instantly recognizes her identity. Stepping gracefully into the sunlight, the mysterious clock tower beauty officially reveals herself as Livia. Maskless, she gracefully apologizes for stalling and showers him with gratitude for the epic rescue. Softly, she asks if the Dark Warrior can spare a moment. Already sensing an incoming migraine, he cautiously probes about the catch behind this sudden VIP invite. Firing back instantly, the redhead declares he is being dragged straight to the family estate for a massive official celebration. Cutting her off coldly, our boy claims his schedule is packed and drops a brutal rejection right there. Despite his overpowered feats, the main character sweats bullets, knowing one tiny mistake around high nobles means literal execution. Catching his silent panic, the aristocratic sisters share a highly amused giggle. Refusing to take no for an answer, Karen aggressively snatches his armored gauntlet. Blushing furiously, she demands he finally let her elite family shower him with proper respect. Clinging tightly to his steel arm, Karen literally hauls the warrior inside. Utterly defeated by her stubbornness, the main character climbs aboard, surrendering to his doomed fate. During the ride, the redhead beams with pure triumph over trapping the slippery savior. Meanwhile, our boy sits there feeling like a maximum security prisoner being shipped to death row. Overflowing with sincerity, Livia declares his heroic clutch saved both their beating hearts and the towering prestige of the entire dukedom. Sighing deeply, the dude nods along, realizing the insane chaos from earlier finally clicks into place. Shifting gears abruptly, Karen points a sharp finger, demanding answers for a critical mystery. Safe behind cold steel, the main character mentally groans at her terrifying boss energy. Snapping completely, the fiery girl shatters her fake polite act and instantly reverts to aggressively screaming at him. Nodding calmly, the stoic warrior simply orders the bratty girl to spit out her burning question. Cutting the fluff, she demands to know if he burned priceless mythic-tier elixirs just for her. Drowning in guilt, she assumes his sudden vanishing happened because his dark guild punished him. Cooling her panic, the armored beast swears the godly items belong to him, promising absolutely zero guild backlash. Livia gasps softly, her beautiful eyes stretching wide, as she realizes those god-tier healing drops actually exist. Sweating nervously, the redhead asks if secretly hoarding that kind of world-breaking loot makes him a massive target. Biting her lip, Karen begs the mysterious powerhouse to explain how he bagged such insane drops. Internally, our boy is screaming desperately, trying to cook up a lie to dodge this interrogation. Trapped, he must flawlessly convince these highborn sisters that everything is totally chill. Pulling out his ultimate charm, the hero states he regrets nothing, claiming her fully restored leg is the only reward he needs. Dropping the coolest line ever, he tells her to enjoy living while he tanks his own burdens. Instantly, the tsundere blushes like crazy, and a heart-racing silence suffocates the cabin. Even the elegant Livia feels her heart skip a beat, softly praising his incredibly gigachad mindset. Shattering the mood, the main character raises, one finger begging for a tiny lifeline. Intrigued, the beauties await his mysterious demand. Outside, the luxurious royal transport tears through the streets, charging straight for the Duke's towering estate. Dead serious, our guy begs the sisters to physically stop him if he accidentally disrespects their terrifying overlord father. Karen absolutely short-circuits, her eyes bugging out at such a pathetic favor. Completely baffled, the fiery girl screams that he literally wasted a mythic elixir on her without demanding a single gold coin. Spinning a web of lies, he claims he is just a lowly commoner, absolutely paralyzed by terrifying high-ranking aristocrats. In reality, our overpowered protagonist knows that keeping his head attached to his neck and dodging a royal execution is the ultimate mythical drop. The noble sisters share a silent glance, instantly seeing right through the stranger's painfully fake excuse. For the sharp-minded Livia, masking extreme high-class aura behind peasant-level panic screams absolute red flags. Judging by his slick dodge, she figures he intentionally dropped a trash-tier lie just to end the chat. Regardless, the elegant older sibling smiles, swearing to cover for him anyway. Meanwhile, Karen crosses her arms with absolute confidence, swearing on her life that her terrifying dad would never punish the family savior. Livia also agrees to cover for any of his slip-ups during the meeting. Joking about the situation, the redhead asks if he plans to keep his helmet on the whole time. With a hand on the back of his neck, the warrior admits it would be very rude not to show his face. Laughing, Karen clarifies that she does not mind the armor, but would love to see his face without protection. Blushing at her own comment, the haughty girl gets a scolding from her sister for being so indelicate. Surprised by the argument, the hero just watches the two bicker. On the other side, Livia smiles, pleased with the light interaction between her sister and the savior. In the mind of the woman, the masked man is the most sincere and noble man she has ever met. To her, the excuse about the armor and the cowardly commoner is just an act to maintain the cover of his secret organization. Faced with so much modesty and strength, she does not judge her younger sister for clearly having a crush on him. From the experience of Livia, the more fame a hero gains, the prouder he becomes. Not to mention that the people around them soon fill with envy over the success of others. Almost always, warriors start flaunting gold and power to show off their status. But that knight in front of her faced a deadly mafia and remains incredibly humble. Feeling an unpayable debt, she admires how the guy does not exploit the vulnerability of the family. To break the ice, Karen confesses she is starting to get very nervous about the visit. Seizing the opportunity, the warrior teases the redhead, calling her not cool for being tense. Furious, she points her finger and shouts that she is not scared, just nervous about the preparations. Laughing at the outburst of her younger sister, Livia enjoys the comical scene. In the view of the older sister, the secret agent provoked the girl on purpose to ease the tension. As the daughter of the Duke, Karen always had to deal with fake nobles and boring politicians. Due to the age difference, many ladies also isolated her at social events. To make matters worse, guys only approached her out of pure interest in a future power marriage. Isolated, the redhead never had a real friend to act like a normal girl her age. In the end, the other nobles just walked right by without paying the poor girl any attention. Happy with the situation, Livia loves seeing the hero put up with the antics of her sister, with good humor. Unable to stand the boredom, the redhead grabs her sister by the arm, demanding they hurry back home. Quietly on the seat, our MC just sighs, following the mess of the two. In the mind of the noblewoman, he hid his own power, and rode in a carriage just so as not to tarnish the honor of the Duke. Furthermore, he gave away an extremely rare medicine capable of buying entire cities without asking for a single cent. Totally enchanted, the woman doubts there is another man with such a pure heart in the world. With her cheeks flushed, she already starts to devise a plan to keep the warrior close. Practically, Livia asks how long the knight plans to stay in the city. Smiling charmingly, she offers a luxurious house in case he wants to live there. Sincerely, the MC praises the city, but says his stay will depend on his own mood. To the noblewoman, this vague answer means he depends on missions from his secret organization. Reflecting, she knows that, as long as that knight continues to fight in the shadows, the entire empire will be safe. Mesmerized by the hero, the woman wonders if it is too selfish to want to keep him in the city. But deep down, the strong feeling her sister has for him is contagious. Unaware of the size of the problem, our little MC just tries to stay comfortable on the carriage seat. Arriving at the ducal mansion, the grandeur of the place impresses anyone. Without delay, the knight opens the carriage door for the ladies. In the main courtyard, dozens of servants and soldiers form a corridor to welcome them. Confused by the grand reception, the kid wonders what the heck is going on. Overjoyed, Livia explains that this is the ultimate show of respect from the family. Desperate with the attention, the guy almost loses his tough guy pose. Hiding his panic, he warns that all this fuss will attract unwanted attention. With a confident smile, Livia promises that anyone who has a problem with it will have to deal with the guards. Swallowing hard, the MC accepts the parade. Fearing the punishment for those who do not show respect by the rules of nobility, he knows he cannot refuse the escort if he wants to get out of there alive. Suddenly, the head maid and the captain of the guard kneel on the stone floor. Bowing their heads, they express their honor at the visit of the black hero. Quickly, the old housekeeper stands up, announcing that the masters are waiting in the main hall. With a slight curtsy, Livia thanks the escort and says the two of them will go change. Joking, she says she will wait in the other room in case the MC needs that little help they agreed on. Seriously, the younger sister agrees to act quickly if their father freaks out. Alone at the entrance with the guards, the kid starts to sweat bullets again. In the blink of an eye, the captain approaches to guide the visitor. Courteously, the soldier asks to hold the black sword of the warrior for security. Surprised by the quick handover of the weapon, the guard asks if the knight is sure. To lighten the mood, our hero says, trying to break the ice, our main character shrugs, claiming it is basic etiquette to disarm in a noble estate, but then he drops a bombshell, casually admitting his bare fists are way deadlier than any blade. The servant freezes eyes, practically bulging out of his skull in pure shock. Gulping loudly, the guard captain breaks into a cold sweat at this terrifying flex. Behind that dark mask, the main character is not joking around at all. In his past life as a player, he respawned into a vessel packed with straight-up glitchy physical stats. Thanks to his god-tier reflexes, swinging a weapon totally ruined his natural combat flow. So honestly, throwing hands is 1,000 times more effective for utterly destroying his opponents. Completely missing that context, the captain stares at him like he is the literal Grim Reaper. Meanwhile, the senior maid silently guides this weaponless beast down the massive hallway. Standing before the grand doors, our boy's chest thumps wildly. Gripping the handle, he desperately hopes this chat wraps up fast and zero bodies drop today. Outside in the training yard, the guard captain is absolutely starstruck by that pitch-black blade. System lore states this divine weapon possesses infinite durability and slices through literally anything. Flexing a bit, the captain smirks and offers Karen a supervised test drive. Hyped beyond belief, the fiery redhead sprints toward him like a total tornado. Bouncing on her heels, the young noble desperately wants to wield their hero's mythical gear. Completely spellbound, her gaze locks onto that flawless, shadowy steel. Bubbling with excitement, she orders the captain to hand it over immediately. Chuckling warmly, he presents the edge, gleaming like a beautifully dangerous gemstone. Tilting her head, Karen thinks it looks way too pretty to survive actual warfare. Totally captivated, the captain nods, pointing out its absolute masterpiece level of craftsmanship. Catching the harsh sunlight, the midnight steel fully hypnotizes the courtyard duo. Stroking her chin thoughtfully, Livia tries visualizing the exact combat style of a fighter rocking zero heavy armor. In her sharp mind, this masked rogue has to be an agility-focused genius, preferring pure speed over raw strength. Caught up in the hype, Karen finally grabs the hilt of the holy weapon. Instantly, the sword's ridiculously massive weight hits her like an absolute truck. Panicking, the captain lunges forward as her tiny arms completely give out. The young lady faceplants and that legendary blade dives straight toward the pavement. Slicing like a hot knife through butter, the weapon phases right through the solid rock. Time literally stops, as that crisp slicing sound echoes across the yard. Mind blown, Karen stutters endlessly, totally paralyzed by this logic-defying glitch in reality. The captain and Livia shriek, watching the solid pavement get effortlessly bypassed. Witnessing this madness, the older sister realizes even max-tier defense would melt against that edge. Shivering violently, the captain suddenly recalls the masked dude claiming his bare fists hit harder. Snapping to his senses, the frantic soldier rushes over, praying the girl did not lose a limb. Sweating bullets, he swears he will take all the blame from the Duke, begging her not to worry. Deep inside the estate, a high-stakes tea party is already going down. Pressing their ears against the heavy doors, the sisters eagerly eavesdrop. The Duke's commanding voice echoes through the room, showering their mysterious savior with gratitude. Blinking in shock, Karen realizes her dad sounds insanely submissive right now. Shaking her head softly, Livia nods and reveals the harsh political reality. Hearing the muffled conversation, they instantly grasp that their untouchable father just bent the knee to a masked stranger. Given his massive noble status, the Duke constantly projects overwhelming dominance to hide any vulnerabilities. Clutching her heart, the older sibling exhales deeply, witnessing her proud father's ego absolutely melted by debt. Looking totally bummed out, Karen pities her family for losing face over her traumatic kidnapping. But then a loud creak shatters their deep emotional vibe instantly. Squinting through the narrow gap, Livia smirks, asking if her little sister is seriously still crying. Totally clueless, the fiery redhead tilts her head, missing the point of this sudden scolding. With savage bluntness, Livia kindly reminds the kid that she literally just nuked the estate's premium pavement. The horrible truth hits like a truck. Karen turns into a statue, realizing she absolutely wrecked her dad's VIP walkway. Bursting into dramatic tears, she loudly wails that the Duke is definitely going to end her life over this disaster. Pointing a harsh finger, the older sibling adds that she completely betrayed the trusting guard captain, too. Throwing a quiet tantrum, the kid totally loses it, screaming that nobody warned her about the insane weight. Chuckling at the chaos, Livia watches her sibling practically flood the hallway with anime tears. Barely holding back her laughter, Livia tells the dramatic kid to just drop the act already. Look at the bright side. She is fully cured with an entire lifetime ahead to experience absolute freedom. Instantly hyped again, the little girl vows to sprint around and enjoy her fully healed legs. Flashing a gentle smile, Livia adores her sibling's endless chaotic energy. Nodding firmly, Karen finally chills out entirely. Pivoting the conversation, Livia notes how their mysterious savior intentionally downplayed his god-tier stats. Because if the Emperor ever discovers they casually chugged a mythical-grade elixir, this ultimate sacrifice might just cost our warrior absolutely everything. Karen swears to bless their masked savior with the ultimate payoff. Meanwhile, Livia's eyes narrow as a bizarre detail from the mission report sparks a sudden nagging suspicion. She points out he casually rejected every single prize, treating a life-or-death rescue like an everyday chore. Honestly, a duke's lavish bounty of endless riches, vast lands, and raw power would instantly corrupt any normal human being. Nobody ever rejects noble gold. Completely obsessed, the older sister admits she simply craves another glimpse of his hidden face. Spite flares in Karen's eyes as she snaps fiercely, claiming she would gladly remain the only girl blind to the main character's true identity. Livia just giggles ruthlessly, teasing her little sister for desperately wanting to hoard the mysterious warrior. Flushing bright pink, the tiny redhead stammers her defense, swearing she spotted a badass scar across their savior's eye during the bloody rescue. Instantly, the older sibling connects the dots behind this massive crush. Flustered, Karen fiercely glares, totally rejecting any romantic feelings for the masked stranger. Heavy silence suffocates the room as the sisters lock eyes, radiating pure, unadulterated dramatic tension. Sweating bullets, the youngest frantically swears her racing heart is just feeling pure, innocent gratitude. While teenage panic spiraled upstairs, a suffocating aura choked the adult meeting room. Gripping her teacup, Karen silently prayed her intimidating father would not terrify their legendary savior. Down in the grand hall, an absolutely crushing pressure completely devoured every inch of oxygen. Drenched in cold sweat, the Duke and his wife stared at the armored behemoth in sheer paralyzing terror. The Black Knight sat like a menacing statue of dark steel. Absolutely baffled by this stone-cold aura, the terrified nobleman panicked over why the beast demanded zero tribute. The paranoid Duke fully convinced himself this stranger was faking humility just to avoid insulting their prestigious bloodline. Playing an insanely deep game, the hero refused to drop a single hint about cashing in his monumental life-saving debt. Beyond the heroic rescue, the trembling lord heavily suspected this elite agent was secretly testing their noble honor. Honestly, the powerless Duke lacked any authority to deny absolutely anything this masked reaper desired. Recognizing Verdar's terrifying imperial ties, the Lord knew damn well this boy belonged to the absolute apex of society. Simply put, this knight wielded enough raw backing to casually snap politicians in half. Radiating zero emotion through pitch-black steel, the hero froze the rulers to their cores. Trembling on the velvet sofa, the Duchess whispers they might be failing a deadly loyalty exam. His mind racing, the father realizes disrespecting this monstrous guest could trigger a total bloodbath. Trapped in pure agony, the Duke starts playing insane four-dimensional mental chess. Backed into a corner, he views the warrior's dead silence as a lethal shadow-sent ultimatum. Even worse, the frantic lord calculates that letting this masked god leave empty-handed would permanently destroy their family's legendary reputation. Out of nowhere, metallic clanks echo as the knight shifts his weight, instantly freezing the room's oxygen. Horrified, the Duke assumes his monstrous guest just ran completely out of patience. He instantly realizes one wrong word will doom this high-stakes negotiation. Weaponizing the sacred elixir as a desperate icebreaker, the Lord finally scrambles to throw money at him. Bowing deeply, the Duke proclaims their bloodline is forever honored. Choking on absolute terror, he practically begs for forgiveness for stalling the hero's rightful epic compensation. Screaming with internal relief, our main character nods to finally escape this awkward meeting. Forcing a flawless smile, the Duchess declares this lavish reward brings immense glory to their prestigious house. Drowning in relief, the Lord frantically lists the epic rescue bounty. Raising 3 trembling fingers, he drops a private mansion, mountains of gold, and the absolute political backing of his duchy. Utterly blindsided, the boy completely breaks character, choking on air as he processes this ridiculously overpowered loot drop. The nervous nobles practically beg the Black Knight to accept this humble tribute. In his paranoid mind, the Lord thinks gifting a secret lair to an imperial agent is pure genius. This massive brainplay instantly farms infinite reputation points with the Emperor's terrifying royal guard. Starstruck by the sudden wealth, our warrior secures the bag instantly, sealing the epic deal with a hidden triumphant smirk. The Duke mentally celebrates surviving the phantom loyalty exam. As the crushing pressure shatters, he excitedly begs his daughters to guide the hero to his new crib today. Thrilled beyond belief, the main character accepts swearing to protect the ridiculously luxurious estate. Moving at lightning speed, the Duchess orders the royal guards to fetch her daughters for escort duty. Rising with flawless noble grace, she politely directs the steel-clad beast toward the VIP lounge. Sweating awkwardly underneath his helmet, our guy just nods and ghosts out of the room. The second, those massive mahogany doors click shut, a soul-crushing silence crashes down upon the hall. Trembling like a leaf, the mighty Duke collapses into his velvet throne, his entire body melting. Scrubbing cold sweat from his pale face, he gasps for air after surviving that psychological nightmare. Staring blankly, he weakly mutters that his daughter was dead. Right, this monster is beyond human. Just outside the terrifying room, the masked reaper dramatically stretches, finally exhaling the massive panic attack trapped in his lungs. Shocked by this goofy sudden vibe shift, Karen points a shaking finger, catching his hilariously embarrassed slouch. The kid teases his metal poker face. With a warm smile, Lifia offers him tea to recover from that chaotic family interrogation. Getting back on track, the fiery redhead whines about his stone-cold reaction to scoring 3 legendary tier rewards. Annoyed, she snaps that he could have at least faked a smirk after instantly bagging a luxury villa and massive wealth for doing absolutely nothing. Our main character bites his tongue. Deep down, he was literally screaming and throwing up from pure hype. Hidden behind cold steel, he sweats bullets over this absurd jackpot. Honestly, if nobody was watching, he would be hitting backflips all over the room, staying locked in. The older sister chimes in to finalize the loot drop. Earnestly, she insists that if this bounty feels lacking, Our hero just needs to name his price to the duchy. Smirking under the mask, he finds it crazy that his inventory is totally maxed out, plus a free mansion, needing 0 extra perks. Reclaiming his chill, the warrior suppresses his hype to keep that mysterious, stoic badass vibe intact. Pivoting the chat, Karen wonders if gifting a whole estate puts a dent in the family treasury. With a serene smile, Lifia explains the duchy owns countless estates, holding 0 sentimental value. Annoyed, the redhead pouts that this giant crib is way too massive for a solo player. Next to the main family stronghold, this secondary villa is still an absolute unit. Shook by this flex, our boy finally grasps the insane tier of his little reward. In his head, only a completely unhinged royal drops a god-tier property just to say thanks. With a wicked grin, the redhead probes if he plans to move any secret lovers into his new crib. Sweating behind the visor, the main character nervously insists it is strictly a solo guild base. For Lifia, an elite hero riding solo, without a main squeeze, makes total logical sense. Snooping around, the younger sibling shoots straight. Does the Dark Knight have his eye on anyone right now? Blushing furiously, Lifia panics and cuts off her sister for asking such spicy details. Shattering the awkward tension, the warrior offers them an open invitation to crash at the villa anytime to kill the dead silence. Instantly hyped, the eyes of Karen light up like fireworks at the VIP access. Without hesitating, the main character promises to drop them a master key, granting full access even when he is away grinding. Plotting ahead, the warrior realizes these two make the ultimate smokescreen against nosy spies. Absolutely vibrating with joy, the redhead swears to be his daily sleep paralysis demon. Taking the lead, Lifia instantly proposes a fast travel right now to scout the territory. Spawning at the estate, massive gates reveal a breathtaking botanical garden. Inside, mirror-polished floors reflect god-tier, premium aesthetics in every single room. The cooking zone is absolutely spotless, fully prepped for an instant feast. Inside the banquet hall, dripping crystal chandeliers complete the ultimate whale-tier crib aesthetic. Flashing a soft smile, the older sister guarantees this entire setup is a zero-catch freebie. Mind utterly blown, the main character steps into the master suite, marveling at its colossal scale. Annoyed by his mute reaction, Karen demands he drop a review on whether this base actually slaps. Keeping it classy, he nods and drops his thanks, but casually mentions he prefers the hardwood floor. In his mind, crashing onto premium cushions and clunky battle gear is a massive foul. Sighing heavily, the redhead questions if he is just being stubbornly edgy or genuinely afraid of scuffing the upholstery. Firing back instantly, he claims his stamina bar is still too full to need a break. Pouting hard, the girl huffs that his refusal to chill is actually getting super irritating. Ranting endlessly, she throws the guilt trip about burning that god-tier healing potion solely to satisfy his ego. Internally, our guy knows that dodging a VIP request inside her own territory is a massive social blunder. Out of nowhere, a light bulb goes off, and the fiery girl dashes his way. Yanking his metal gauntlet, she declares his armored lap the new VIP seat, since the couch is banned. Speechless, Lifia just watches her sister execute this chaotic masterstroke. Utterly drained of psychic energy, our boy waves the white flag to this unhinged logic. Instantly, she claims her throne on his plated thigh, leaving the warrior completely shook. Torn between pride and manners, he desperately clutches onto his stoic lone wolf persona. Poking his shell, the redhead demands to know what is buffering in his brain. Dodging the aggro, the main character quips that cold steel makes a terrible cushion. From the sidelines, Lifia giggles at this total sitcom moment, melting at the pure wholesomeness. Smirking at the warrior, the older sister jokes that Karen scored the ultimate VIP seating. Face glowing red, the younger sibling barks back, swearing she never wanted his lap, and this was purely a tactical move for manners. Locking back in, she points straight at the hero, ordering him to strip the metal and finally relax. With zero intentions of unmasking, our boy deploys the classic dodge, claiming he must stay combat ready for sudden random encounters. Internally, he knows stripping his armor right now would be a massive self-sabotaging mistake. One glance at his face, and Livia would instantly connect him to the clock tower incident. Yanking his hand away, our hero chooses offense as his ultimate defense. He gently drops his heavy gauntlet onto the fiery redhead's hair, offering up a wonderfully awkward head pat. Boiling with childish rage, she violently stomps her foot and demands he stop immediately. Brushing off her tantrums, our hero bluntly complains about her endless ear-piercing chatter. Shifting the entire vibe, Karen sarcastically applauds her dad's wild bravery for ditching his two precious daughters in some isolated hideout with a literal stranger. Logically, the Duke should absolutely despise this masked outsider. Backing that up, Livia reveals her father is gambling everything on the hero's undeniable savior complex. Watching the knight's unwavering moral compass, the Duke instantly knew this guy was insanely reliable. Blown away by the Lord's sharp intuition, our boy realizes he isn't playing against rookies. Shrugging casually, the fiery girl reminds everyone he literally tossed a priceless elixir at them, proving he couldn't care less about money. Sighing heavily, our masked protagonist finally accepts their absolute trust. Shooting her shot, Livia elegantly invites the rugged warrior to a lavish mansion dinner. Without hesitation, our boy brutally rejects her, leaving Karen completely dumbfounded. Deep down, he is low-key terrified of facing the Duke again and accidentally disrespecting him. Stumbling over his words, the main character vaguely blames his insanely complicated underground missions. Reading the room, Livia gently warns her younger sister against suffocating the overworked dark hero. Eyes sparkling with hope, the little redhead practically begs him to stick around the city forever. Dinner aside, he still has Nina and Remy ruthlessly tracking his every single move. Thinking back to the hostages, our knight completely freezes when discovering the noble council is still lurking. Mid-chat, Livia flashes a super cryptic hand sign to her little sister. Totally clueless, Karen loudly questions the sketchy hand signals, making her older sister flush bright red. Panicking hard, the noble woman frantically swears it meant nothing. Snitching instantly, the fiery redhead exposes her sister's secret plot to rip off his helmet and peek. Startled by this total privacy invasion, our main character violently flinches backward. Cackling at her sister's completely flushed face, Karen roasts her for faking innocence while being secretly super bold. Absolutely mortified, Livia screams at her sister to jump off the warrior's lap immediately, but gripping her waist firmly, our knight stubbornly locks the girl in place. Shocked but loving the attention, she mercilessly calls her older sister insanely jealous. Catching on to the spicy drama, our protagonist intensely studies Livia's blushing face for any hidden envy. Instantly, he strictly warns the blushing noblewoman against trying to forcefully yank his mask off. Caught red-handed, she aggressively snatches her hand back, completely terrifying her little sister. Boiling with pure jealousy, Karen screams, demanding to know why he released Livia, but kept her trapped. Defending his crazy logic, the boy argues her sister is a gorgeous adult, and he absolutely refuses to start massive societal scandals. Flexing her status, Livia casually drops that high-ranking nobles practically drown her in marriage proposals. Smirking playfully, she flexes that she remains completely unbothered and single, despite the endless simps. Genuinely shocked, our main character admits it is wildly crazy that someone so flawless is single. Chuckling softly, the noblewoman reveals that obsessed guys always retreat in pure shame whenever she acts incredibly awkward. Honestly, this woman is so breathtakingly gorgeous that literal men forget how to breathe around her. The hilarious truth, Livia is insanely desperate for love, accidentally terrifying her dates with crazy clinginess. Ruining the vibe entirely, the little redhead violently shushes her sister for being way too cringe. Striking back instantly, the older sister aggressively pokes Karen, ordering her to abandon his lap right now. Absolutely bewildered, the young girl fails to process this sudden brutal scolding. Flushing bright red, she leaps off the couch and bolts away in total shame, finally freeing our hero. Throwing his hands up, our exhausted hero exhales heavily, incredibly thankful to escape that dangerous romantic trap. Shocked by her own crazy reaction, Karen desperately masks her absolute panic, avoiding the knight's gaze while secretly spying on her sister's flustered expression. Moments later, Livia gently grabs her sister's hand, whispering that winning a man's heart requires massive patience. Utterly paralyzed, Karen has literally never witnessed her sister acting so warm and affectionate. Tension finally cleared, the royal family bids their dramatic farewells, surrendering the luxurious villa to our hero. Bowing gracefully, Livia thanks the rugged warrior for everything, hoping he enjoys his insane new hideout. Before disappearing, she promises the royal furniture drops in exactly 3 days. Shooting her shot again, she locks in another private meeting to handle base security and boring paperwork. Catching her drift, the main character nods, while the little sister aggressively hides her insanely red face. Offering a super timid wave, Karen softly wishes him well until their next chaotic encounter. Nodding back, the warrior warns the fiery girl to rush home before her parents completely panic. Moving like lightning, the embarrassed redhead aggressively drags her older sister right out the door. The heavy doors violently slam shut, officially ending our protagonist's absolutely chaotic day. Outside, the opulent carriage rolls away, finally leaving our armored warrior alone in his hidden sanctuary. Waving goodbye, our main character exhales deeply. He actually survived that walking disaster, Hurricane Karen. He rips off that heavy helmet instantly, exposing a desperately exhausted, sweat-drenched kid. Finally free from his suffocating burden, he revels in the glorious silence, totally dropping his guard. Miles away inside that plush carriage, both sisters burst out laughing over their flawless theatrical performance. Karen openly admits she craved more time to completely torture their masked savior. Sighing softly, Livia smirks, teasing her little sister about how the mysterious guy literally called her gorgeous. Chuckling, Livia points out his sheer audacity, dropping her prestigious noble title to casually use her first name. This legendary hero totally trashed high society etiquette, choosing to speak like a totally average guy instead. Flashing a wicked grin, Livia accuses the redhead of strategically sitting on his lap just to glimpse his hidden face. Quickly defending herself, Karen argues the hero literally saved her life. The least she could offer was a major headache. Bragging, she claims surviving her means he can definitely conquer any deadly threat from Verdar. Staring thoughtfully, Livia admits her absolute biggest wish was unmasking their legendary savior too. Laughing, she promises to sketch his mysterious face back at the mansion, finally curing her sister's burning curiosity. Livia wildly sketches a bizarre, spiky-haired monster. Totally annoyed, Karen violently critiques the trash artwork, bragging that her own skills are a million times superior. But honestly, the redhead's gaze drifts away, completely zoning out of their playful banter. Boom! The striking memory of that clock tower boy instantly hijacks her racing mind. Livia quietly catches this sudden mood shift, panic creeping in. Deeply concerned, she desperately tries snapping Karen back to reality. Startled, the girl blinks rapidly, shattering her deep trance. The hero's breathtaking face and that badass eye scar are now permanently burned into her soul. Masking a cheeky smirk, Karen possesses absolutely zero doubts about his true identity now. Totally smitten, she softly whispers about how this masked menace loves playing games with her heart. Cracking the code, Livia realizes that clock tower guy was actually their hero in disguise. Beaming with absolute confidence, the redhead confirms this wild theory without skipping a beat. Eyes narrowed. Thoughtfully, the younger sister asks if Livia truly believes that clock tower encounter was pure coincidence. Big brain time. Karen smartly deduces he blended his flashy armor with downtown guards just to completely blindside enemy spies. In her mind, this mastermind already calculated the Duchess's carriage arriving at the tower for her pickup. Connecting the dots, he orchestrated everything just to verify her leg's recovery. Utterly melting, she swoons, labeling this undercover badass a massive softie. Going by her galaxy brain theory, the warrior actually stole that legendary divine elixir from his boss, purely to save her shattered leg. To completely erase their heavy guilt, he purposely dropped the coolest lines ever, telling them to forget any debts. Breaking it all down, Livia concludes that erasing massive favors is the ultimate flex of a genuinely overpowered warrior. Beyond just healing them, she believes this absolute unit was secretly guarding the entire city from the ruthless mafia. Utterly mind-blown, the noblewoman questions how he pulled off this phantom act without triggering citywide alarms. She quietly reflects that honestly, this masked enigma is literally a walking miracle. Completely spellbound, Livia views this stranger as an absolutely flawless god-tier warrior. Clutching her racing heart, she exhales softly, branding this mysterious guy an absolute dream. Hyped up, Karen literally cheers, counting down the next 3 agonizing days until she reunites with her hero. Catching Livia's completely dazed expression, the younger sister practically demands to know what's invading her thoughts. Livia insists the shadowy hero rejected any reward because he already cherishes Karen like his own precious daughter. Fired up, Livia vows to bridge the gap and totally steal this stranger's heart. Suddenly, her brain starts cooking up an absolutely unhinged scheme to infiltrate his brand new villa. Flashing a villainous smirk, Livia knows her overprotective dad would literally drop dead if he uncovered her wild intentions. Thanks to the knight's terrifyingly absurd power levels, the Duke would violently ban any romance with this armored titan. Burning with intense curiosity, Livia eagerly wonders how her strict father would explode over her massive crush on the savior. Meanwhile, right outside the local tavern, the grumpy owner suddenly unleashes a massive, bone-chilling sneeze. Drowning in pure depression, the old man sulks, convinced he will never see that troublesome kid's face ever again. Bam! Shocking the old geezer, the boy casually explains he skipped out last night because he was dead on his feet. Devouring a mountain of food, he finally looks chill. Stuffing his face, our guy swears he will definitely be back. This top-tier grub has him totally hooked. Beaming with absolute pride, the chef flashes a warm grin. Hyped about their new bond, he promises this tavern is forever his safe zone, for any time, day, or night. Leaning in closer, the boss casually wonders where our overpowered hero is crashing next, in this massive city. Dropping his fork with a clatter, the kid casually drops a bomb. He just scored a whole house to chill in. The owner's jaw straight up hits the floor. Brain completely short-circuiting, he listens as our guy nonchalantly explains that the absolute highest-ranking duke literally gifted him an entire estate. Choking on pure shock, the old man screams at this insane flex. Sure, the royal guards owed him big time, but handing over a literal mansion, that is completely unhinged behavior. Sweating bullets, the boss warns that accepting a noble's villa carries massive weight. Completely unfazed by the heavy vibes, our hero shrugs off the grand scale, but the frantic innkeeper stresses that claiming territory in this ruthless empire screams absolute high society dominance. The Duke is clearly playing 4D chess, desperately locking down an alliance with a god-tier monster. Staring intensely, the boss demands to know this kid's true hidden identity. Why is high society worshipping him? Dead serious. He tries piercing through that intimidating pitch-black armor, voice slightly shaking. Our guy swears he is literally just a nobody without a fancy title. Without missing a single beat, the Dark Warrior slams a massive heavy coin pouch onto the sticky wooden table. Flinching hard, the boss jumps at the loud clink of pure wealth. With a heavy sigh, our hero drops the truth. It is hazard pay for keeping him totally off the radar. Waving his hands frantically, the owner instantly rejects the blood money. Locking eyes, the main character drops a dark ultimatum. Take the cash peacefully, or things get violently awkward. Honestly though, our badass warrior is just drowning in massive guilt for forcing this poor NPC to scam 3 global superpowers simultaneously. Chuckling nervously, the boss admits he was sweating absolute bullets, dodging the Duke, the Holy Faction, and the Merchant Guild. That insane mental torture nearly flatlined his heart right then and there. Nodding solemnly, our hero validates that sheer nightmare fuel. He demands the old man pocket this epic loot as a legendary stealth bonus. Playing the perfect patron, he claims he is just taking care of his favorite local business. Bursting into laughter, the boss roasts the Dark Knight's totally failed attempt at acting humble. Ultimately, he scoops up the heavy fortune with a deeply genuine smile. Waving goodbye, he strictly locks our hero into his promise to crash at this tavern again soon. Flashing a peace sign, our powerhouse swears he will instantly spawn whenever his stomach growls. The heavy wooden door slams shut. Our mysterious warrior abandons his low-key sanctuary forever, left in total silence. The boss tries to chill with his new funds, but the second he unties that pouch, his soul practically leaves his body, blinded by a flash of ultra-pure, premium gold. Shaking like a leaf, he questions how a supposed basic nobody casually flexes an empire-buying treasury in his everyday inventory. Chuckling at his own total cluelessness, the truth finally clicks. That kid is a literal walking myth. Meanwhile, miles away, the Holy Cathedral dominates the skyline like a monument of absolute divinity. Lounging on massive oak benches, the elite sisters catch their breath post-ritual, targeting the rookie. The senior Holy Knight playfully squishes the girl's soft cheeks. Beaming, she warmly traces the flawlessly restored features of her precious Nina, whose vision is miraculously back online. Chilling right next to her is Marie, the supreme authority and fierce guardian of the very girl our masked edgelord cured. Squirming away from the relentless attack, Nina whines that Marie has pulled this stunt over 7 times since morning. Shrugging with absolute zero shame, the holy leader boldly declares it is entirely intentional, and she will literally never quit. Pouting hard, the rookie scolds her mighty superior for looking absolutely tragically unholy right now. Tugging her own ear in frustration, Nina snaps that man spreading on a sacred bench completely deletes her flawless, saintly vibe. Clearing her throat with a guilty cough, Marie instantly straightens up. God forbid, the public catches their supreme leader, slacking instantly. Her eyes sharpen into deadly focus. Her aura shifts into blinding pure majesty in a microsecond, flexing her dual-faced nature. She proves her untouchable goddess act is Oscar-worthy whenever NPCs are watching. Instantly triggered, Nina roasts her sister's toxic, two-faced energy. The ultimate personality switch-up. Defending her chaotic energy, Marie points out that ever since Nina's holy eyes booted back up, she has turned into a total, rule-obsessed buzzkill. As the boss sees it, dropping the holy mask to just vibe is vital for surviving this insane leadership grind. Totally drained by the excuses, Nina heavily sighs. She ruthlessly points out these fake breaks aren't rare at all. They happen literally 24/7. Staring up at the grand altar, Marie casually tunes out the lecture, deeply smiling. The absolute relief of seeing her little sister thriving is everything. Honoring the insane miracle, she silently sends a prayer to the heavens, because in her soul she remembers the dark days. Before the traumatic abduction, Nina was an empty, soulless doll. What a legendary turnaround. Marie sighs, admitting the Black Knight's actions are absolutely mind-blowing. Glowing with pride, she recalls how that absolute legend rescued her little sister, casually dropping a mythic tier elixir without charging a single dime. Nina quickly corrects her. He didn't just save her, he actually blessed all 3 hostages with those god-tier items. Heart-pounding, the younger sister confesses she is totally down bad for the hero after that massive flex of kindness. Marie smirks, asking if the armored powerhouse is her type. Chuckling, the head priestess warns the rookie against chasing a top-tier warrior already drowning in admirers. Her logic is flawless. A guy throwing around priceless divine potions for free, he definitely has the whole capital swooning. Picturing the massive fan club, Marie teases that Nina faces hundreds of fierce rivals thirsting over the armored beast. Flushing red from the teasing, the little novice puffs her cheeks and snaps at her sister to shut up. Finding this incredibly wholesome, Marie cracks up at the rookie's glaring jealousy over the mysterious powerhouse. A passing nun crashes the vibe, calling the brass back to work. Flipping her holy switch, Marie stands tall, radiating pure saintly grace. Eyes turning dead serious, the duo instantly activates their flawless holy personas. Without missing a beat, Nina tails her sister toward the grand altar. Smirking internally, Marie starts brewing her own sneaky agenda for the miracle-making juggernaut. Side by side, the Qualier sisters march back into the Holy Church's core, completely locked into their sacred duties. Fast forward 3 days. The Holy Sisters are practically buzzing with hype to finally reunite with the Black Knight. In their minds, the Masked Titan stands as an absolute untouchable legend. Drained by the brutal daily grind, the platinum blonde Nina groans, totally crashing onto a quiet garden bench. Suddenly, the fiery Karen ambushes her, playfully roasting her friend for slacking. Spooked, the rookie leaps up defensively, claiming she is just on break. Chuckling, the redhead points out their long time no see. The sassy nun fires back that Karen totally crashed the place without an appointment. Flashing a cheeky grin, the tiny aristocrat tells her stressed bestie to take a chill pill and sit back down. Karen immediately plops down beside the blonde. Soaking up the chill garden vibes, the duo finally gets a much-needed chance to spill the tea. Suspicious, Nina questions why the fiery girl showed up solo without her big sister. Cutting the fluff, Karen reveals Livia is tied up inside with the high priests. Catching on the nun, realizes the Duke's squad finally cornered the hero for a proper thank you. Eyes sparkling with hype, the blonde cheers that she will finally score a legit meeting with their ultimate savior. Flashing a wicked grin, the redhead drops a bomb. Her big sister is now fatally obsessed with the Dark Knight. Spilling the juicy details, she claims Livia practically superglued herself to the armored Titan's lap. The tiny noble swears her sister refused to unhand the warrior even while whining about her literal aching butt. Mind absolutely blown, the blonde realizes their savior possesses an insanely dangerous magnetic riz. Completely starstruck, the redhead declares he is the most breathtaking guy alive. Shook by this hardcore confession, Nina listens as Karen promises it will all make sense soon. Pivoting hard, the nun demands to know what kind of god-tier loot the duchy slapped on the negotiation table. Practically begging, she presses for the exact specs, desperately needing a baseline for her own holy faction's counteroffer. Defending her nosiness, the blonde admits her family is sweating bullets, terrified of accidentally lowballing the hero and looking like absolute clowns. Eyes narrowing mysteriously, Karen agrees to spill the tea, but heavily insists her bestie keeps Marie totally in the dark. Leaning in close, the redhead whispers the jaw-dropping loot drop. For starters, she reveals the hero bagged a sprawling, ultra-luxurious private mansion. Next, she casually drops an absolutely mind-numbing cash pile. Topping it off, they handed over the legendary family seal. Utterly disgusted, Nina's eyes bug out, screeching to ask if that pathetic stash was truly everything. By her math, that trash reward cannot even buy a single drop of the mythic elixir used. Shaking with pure embarrassment, the redhead admits the ultimate lowball, but swears her elite family had zero other options. Baffled, the blonde tilts her head, totally glitching over that downright insulting payout. Desperately, Karen swears the dark juggernaut intentionally rejected the heavier bags. Refusing the madness, the nun calls cap, knowing literally nobody alive denies free, unlimited power and infinite gold. Wearing a deadpan expression, the redhead holds total silence, brutally confirming this insane reality is 0% cap. Doubling down, the noble reminds her bestie that she literally praised his god-tier heart from day one. Making things way spicier, she admits her powerhouse father felt completely crushed by the masked anomaly's overwhelming aura. Shell-shocked, Nina learns the supposedly untouchable Duke is currently sweating bullets, desperately calculating how to handle this absolute anomaly. The Duke's ultimate nightmare, a terrifying powerhouse who desires absolutely zero worldly things, is basically immune to political manipulation. Now, just dropping the knight's name instantly wipes the Duke's smug grin. Processing this massive lore drop, the blonde realizes their savior is a terrifying, untouchable political monster. Intimidating a duke like that, breathing a massive sigh of relief, the sister marvels at their insane luck. Crossing paths with such a legendary savior. Nodding enthusiastically, Karen declares only someone standing way above high society would dare crush the underworld head-on. The novice whispers, wondering if Livia truly thinks this mysterious vanguard belongs to the legendary Verdar elite. Smirking, the fiery redhead drops a bombshell her father commanded strictly to never cross paths with this monster. Connecting the dots, the platinum blonde suddenly grasps the harsh truth that paying back an Imperial supreme weapon is basically a pipe dream. Stroking her chin, she points out, this powerhouse holds more absolute sway than the entire Holy Order. Flashing back, Karen highlights one bizarre detail. Cold, hard cash excited him way more than a ducal crest. Totally mind-blown, Nina throws her hands up arguing, that defies all common sense. Honestly, any sellsword can grind for gold, but a duke's emblem is literally priceless. That crest is basically a legendary VIP ticket locking down absolute backing from a top-tier bloodline. However, the sister instantly realizes if he belongs to Verdar, he already wields imperial authority, making noble tokens trash. Eyes shining like stars, the redhead romanticizes that he only craves cash to shower upon the impoverished masses. In her hopelessly naive mind, this Shadow Knight is a masked vigilante fighting for the broken and oppressed. Spotting her wild delusions, the blonde secretly agrees, chuckling that her sister Marie would totally fall for this shadow walker. Tilting her head, the fiery noble is completely lost, wondering how her bestie jumped to that crazy conclusion. Puffing her chest out, the haughty aristocrat acts high and mighty, crowning herself the ultimate encyclopedia on their savior. Shattering her ego, Nina brutally roasts her friend. You cannot judge Livia when you are literally just as obsessed. Blushing furiously, the tsundere fires back, threatening to expose the Holy Sister's massive crush to the Shadow Knight himself. Defusing the bomb, the blonde swiftly pivots, hyping up the fact that their reunion with the legend is finally approaching. Flashing back, the noble confesses she nearly lost her mind when the towering titan completely vanished from the capital's radar. Hands clasped, the sister nervously admits her terrifying fear that he faced brutal execution for burning that sacred elixir. Wagging a finger, Karen promises the Vanguard would absolutely roast her for that guilt trip. Mimicking his deep voice, she declares, he would prefer watching them thrive in absolute freedom rather than shedding useless tears. Heart completely melting, the blonde presses her hands together, infinitely grateful for the reassurance. Searching her chaotic memories, the aristocrat points out, his aura felt way more irritated than intimidated by his superiors. Karen theorizes his flawless track record is so legendary, the guild wouldn't dare touch a hair on his head. Exhaling softly, Nina admits that rebellious spark perfectly fits their guardian. Syncing up the duo, decides this Vanguard is the ultimate alpha, a force of nature who never bows to authority. Buzzing with anticipation, the sister desperately asks how long this masked phantom actually plans to shadow their territory. Flashing a grin, the redhead notes he dodged the banquet, claiming vital business, but swore he wouldn't pull a vanishing act. In her fangirl fantasy, he dominates the midnight hours, purging the capital's corrupted alleys and rescuing the weak. Face burning beet red, the rookie clutches, her racing heart utterly mesmerized by the Dark Knight's overwhelming hidden kindness. Playing the ultimate wingman, Karen flashes a wicked smirk, deciding to drop an absolute nuke of classified intel. Leaning in close, she whispers the Holy Grail. Their masked crusader grabs his daily meals at a rundown tavern named Aldis. Like a supernova, the blonde's face explodes with joy, instantly plotting the most strategic accidental lunch date ever conceived. Suddenly terrified, she grasps the sheer insanity of this crazy stalker plan, awkwardly panicking. Stuttering violently, the rookie cries, she hasn't even delivered a proper thank you, before stalking his daily life. Quicker than lightning, the Holy Sister bolts at blinding speeds, leaving her fiery friend completely in the dust. Utterly dumbfounded, the hothead mutters curses, stunned by this massive betrayal. Meanwhile, deep within the bustling capital's shadow alleys, our obsidian Vanguard strolls with absolute chill. Effortlessly, he kicks open the weathered wooden door, stepping into his sanctuary. In his mind's eye, that overly eager blonde was definitely ruthlessly interrogating the poor barkeep for his VIP timetable. Suddenly, a suffocating aura chokes the room. The kid instantly freezes at the entrance, hit by an overwhelmingly heavy pressure. The terrified barkeep desperately dodges the ruthless cross-examination, citing strict customer confidentiality. Cornered like prey, the exhausted elder finally cracks, leaking the Shadow Knight's exact arrival schedule. A cold sweat dropping our main character pieces together, the horrifying truth. This poor civilian endured absolute psychological warfare. Flashing back to the brutal interrogation, the relentless rookie violently demands the Phantom's exact seat. Locked into her mission, the armored bodyguard drops her voice to a terrifying growl. Pressured for answers, the trembling owner frantically jabs a finger toward that corner booth. Clutched menu in hand, the Holy Sister demands the exact meal our masked guy just crushed. The sweating old man instantly taps the page. Without hesitating, the platinum blonde claims that exact plate. Paralyzed near the entrance, our boy cringes at the sheer trauma they inflicted on the host. Right then, dodging out the door sounds amazing, strictly because of that terrifying bodyguard. But his starving stomach wins this debate. Choosing to face the music, our warrior steps heavily inside. Praying, the heavy vibe vanishes. That hope completely shatters when he catches the armored woman's lethal death glare. Suffocating under this insane tension, the host throws his hands up, begging for absolute peace. With the room's pressure maxed out, our masked guy plays it dangerously cool to avoid sparking chaos. In dead silence, he casually strolls right past the deadly duo, silently begging to stay invisible. Locking eyes on his target, our boy plays totally clueless and directly hits the bar. The second he drops into a seat, the warrior absolutely lasers her gaze onto his spine. Paralyzed by pure dread, he panics, wondering why the tavern suddenly feels like a graveyard. Keeping her guard maxed out, the armored fighter orders her blonde companion to freeze, scoring a wildly nervous nod. Instantly, heavy boots boom against the floorboards, stomping directly toward our main character. Like an absolute guardian angel, the tavern keeper slides to the counter aggressively, faking a rush to serve him. Whispering pure gratitude, the host guarantees him the craziest meal ever. But that brief pocket of peace gets totally wrecked when the novice stops dead behind him, demanding the knight's focus. Angling slightly, our hero glances back, desperately fighting to keep his secret identity perfectly safe. Glowing with holy energy, the girl beams brightly at her legendary savior. A tiny golden cross trembles in the nervous sister's grip. Beside it, an intensely glowing magic pendant flexes, showing off this young girl's insanely high holy status. Dripping with sweetness, she asks if the Black Knight remembers who she is. Playing it incredibly smooth, he fakes mild shock cheerfully, dropping her name. Completely melting down, the novice blushes fiercely, praising him for recognizing her perfect recovery. He instantly side-eyes the glaring warrior, suggesting she dial down her intense hostility toward the host. Catching the hint, the bodyguard instantly folds, apologizing for her insane combat aura. Scrambling to defuse the bomb, the old man jumps in, waving off the massive tension and totally forgiving her. Pivoting back, our masked guy hypes up the girl's holy outfit, admitting her massive glow-up almost completely tricked him. Flexing a super graceful spin, the blonde asks if the fit actually slays. Hidden by dark metal, he totally agrees, betting that style will look epic someday. Beaming with pride, she absorbs the massive compliment, while our hero silently feels the insane weight of rescuing an elite VIP. Skipping the small talk, the novice boldly steps closer, totally erasing their personal space. Instantly triggered, the bodyguard watches like a hawk but stays planted. Startled by this crazy closeness, our boy awkwardly slides back. Attempting to kill the awkwardness, he checks on her newly healed eyesight, following that legendary miracle cure. Practically pressing against his helmet, the blonde locks her gaze onto his visor, boldly claiming her vision is literally flawless. Highly suspicious, he flashes some fingers as a pop quiz and she instantly aces the count. Hidden away, a genuine smile hits the boy's face, insanely relieved. His epic mission succeeded. Overflowing with raw feels the holy sister, spills her absolute joy over finally seeing her family's actual faces after years of darkness. Immediately, the knight feels awful for triggering bad memories, but she instantly shuts down his guilt trip. Shifting into pure protector mode, our hero orders her to live her best life, proving the massive sacrifice mattered. Clutching her heart, the novice fiercely swears on her soul. She will absolutely grind hard every single day. Suddenly, the host crashes the emotional beat, carrying heavily steaming food trays. Within seconds, an absolute feast dominates the table, packed with flawless eggs, roasted meats, and greens. Shook by this literal food mountain, our main character questions if she seriously ordered this boss-level portion. Keeping the entire vibe totally light, the hero casually warns that this feast might totally wreck her stomach. Flashing a goofy grin, she admits she literally tracked this place down, just to taste his exact signature meal. Catching on instantly, our boy totally gets how random girl cravings work. Playing it cool, he promises that if she taps out early, his squad will definitely demolish the leftovers. Like an absolute choir, the duo heavily praise the Black Knight for being a total legend. Skipping formalities, our masked guy orders them to basically attack their plates before everything goes completely cold. Right there, the gloriously fried egg and insanely juicy steak literally glow, hyping everyone up. Honoring their holy roots, the duo locks hands for a speed-run grace. A split second later, the blonde violently dives into her first bite. Instantly, her face absolutely glows with pure bliss, obsessing over the god-tier seasoning. Loving her massive reaction, the kid completely agrees this tavern boss has the absolute best cooking skills around. From literally nowhere, the host violently slams a wooden mug onto the table, aggressively flexing his tough guy act. Baffled by this sudden flex, the warrior raises an eyebrow, prompting the old man to sheepishly admit his tough guy act was just a front to mask his absolute terror. Guilt hits our protagonist as he realizes he triggered the owner's panic. Lightening the mood, the young novice lets out a sweet giggle, playfully pointing out their chaotic but hilarious dynamic. Agreeing, our main character notes, they actually make a pretty iconic duo. Sweating bullets, the innkeeper immediately whines that the masked guy stays totally tight-lipped about his elite VIP connections. The platinum blonde quickly chimes in, nodding that handling super secretive guys is an absolute nightmare. Reality suddenly slaps the old man. He freezes, paralyzed by the sheer horror of casually running his mouth to actual royalty. On the verge of a literal heart attack, he scrambles to do damage control, busting out hyper-polite vocabulary, but totally chokes on his frantic words. Refusing to let it slide, the kid instantly calls out the embarrassing fumble, teasing that the panicked dude instantly shattered his formal act and reverted to casual slang. Stepping up, the hero firmly asks the bodyguard to cut the frantic innkeeper some slack just this once. The armored fighter calls a truce, promising to look the other way, provided the young novice remains unbothered by the slip. Flashing a heartwarming smile, Nina promises she isn't even slightly offended. In fact, it is the exact opposite. She actively encourages the old man to ditch the formalities, mirroring the Black Warrior. Bawling absolute anime tears, the terrified owner begs mercy from this insane request and the crushing psychological weight. Loving the messy drama, our main character admits the old guy's frozen panic is pure comedy. Ticked off by the trolling, the innkeeper explodes, screaming that anyone sane would be terrified, making the masked dude the real freak here. Refocusing on the food, the nun quietly slices into her steak and eggs, stepping back from the chaotic banter. But without warning, the vibe shifts instantly. She drops an apology for throwing out such a blunt question out of nowhere, startled by the heavy atmosphere. The guys just stare speechlessly as she announces a dead serious inquiry. With the magic pendant actively pulsing in her warm hands, the girl confesses her freedom outside the church walls is ticking down fast. Up close, the golden artifact flares up brilliantly, shooting off radiant sparks. Perfectly visualizing the crushing divine burden this young novice quietly shoulders every single day.